Being a well-rounded and effective worship leader requires a whole lot more than knowing a few guitar chords, having a decent voice, and looking good in skinny jeans. Unfortunately, many young and aspiring worship leaders don't have a firm grasp on the various aspects of worship ministry. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 pillars of worship leading, which are key to your development as a worship leader and growing a healthy ministry. My name is Jake Goslin with Churchfront.com, an online resource for innovative and creative church leaders. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can receive all of our latest content to help you grow yourself and grow your church. Be sure to check out the show notes below this video for links to resources and tools for your worship ministry, including Worship Leader School, where you will find the essential advice, training, and support you need to plan and lead worship. Most of us enter into worship ministry or even feel called to worship ministry because of our affinity for music and combining that with our love for the church. I began playing in a worship band when I was in 6th grade. I played the bass guitar, and then a few years later, my passion for both music and God and the church continued to grow, and I picked up an acoustic guitar, I started singing, and eventually I found myself in a worship leader position as a junior in high school. I still don't really understand how I was ever given that position. I think I did a pretty decent job with it, but at the time, I had so much more to learn. And maybe you can relate to my story. And to be honest, there's a cool factor that goes along with leading a worship band, because who doesn't want the responsibility to be able to play in a band in a live music setting on a weekly basis and also be able to do it for God? But there is so much more to worship leading than what people see on a Sunday morning. And I quickly discovered this fact when I was leading worship in high school. I found myself having to resource my band every week. I had to learn how to use the sound system and troubleshoot any issues, and also understand how to upgrade the sound system so we could improve it over time. I had to be mindful of getting the lyrics together for projection so the congregation could sing along. I had to coordinate with a pastor. There's just all sorts of tasks and responsibility that go along with the role of worship leading. It's more than just being a church musician. And now 10 years later, I can look back and see that I was learning about the 5 key pillars for worship leading. These pillars are the 5 categories of skills and responsibilities that all of us as worship leaders need to be growing in if we want to grow as individual worship leaders and if we want to grow our ministry. So pillar number 1, we'll call it the spiritual or pastoral pillar. As the author of my favorite book on worship ministry says, ready or not, you're a pastor. I hate to say it, but I think over the past few decades and past few years, the glamour of being the church rock star has overtaken the pastoral responsibility that we have as worship leaders. I think it's our fault as worship leaders for letting things get to our head and assimilating a little bit too much with culture when it comes to what our role should look like. And I also think it's the church's fault for just not being aware of the weight of the responsibility that the guys and gals who are planning worship services and the music and leading them has. No matter what your title is, maybe you're worship director, music minister, worship leader, worship pastor, you have a pastoral role. In most modern churches, our hour of worship is split 50-50 between music and sermons. Obviously, it's different in some cases, but when you just think about the amount of time a worship leader is actually leading the congregation during worship, you have to admit what they're doing is very pastoral and it has a huge effect on the faith life of congregants. Whether we're singing along with the music in worship or we are listening to our pastor's sermon, all of those activities have an impact on our faith lives. And as worship leaders, you are more than just song leaders. The songs we sing, the prayers we pray, the things we say, the things we do in worship all have an effect on how our congregation relates to God. So there is a lot at stake pastorally and spiritually when it comes to the position of a worship leader. And Scripture makes it abundantly clear that as leaders in the church, we need to be intentionally, actively pursuing lives of holiness as well as spiritual maturity. Of course, there is a higher degree of responsibility for preaching pastors and lead pastors, but as worship worship leaders, we are not far behind. That's why this first pillar of worship leading is the pastoral and spiritual pillar. Pillar number 2, the musical pillar. Worship leaders must be competent musicians, knowing how to play their instrument, whether it's guitar or piano, and they should be better than average vocalists so they can boldly and confidently lead their congregation in singing. And I know for some, getting to the ideal level of competence vocally or with your instrument can be a longer journey. It was for me. Of course, I started leading worship in high school, and man, I hate listening to myself back then. I had such a long way to go, but fortunately, after a decade of some formal training and persistence and just repetition, like leading worship nearly every Sunday for the past 10 years, my voice did develop, my musicianship with my instrument developed, and I'm at a place now where I feel like I'm qualified to lead worship musically, and I can even get paid to do it. So if you struggle with this area, just find the training you need and stick with it. You also should seek out some training on music theory. Having a basic grasp on music theory is another piece of essential knowledge that worship leaders have, because you're going to use it week in and week out as you plan your worship sets. When you understand music theory, you understand the language of music and the science of music and the art of music. It's going to help you know how to pick the right keys for songs. It's going to help you communicate your song to your band more effectively. You're going to know how to transpose songs and create smooth transitions. Music theory is only going to help you. And another important musical responsibility for worship leaders is being the music director of your band. Your band members are looking to you for direction on how the song arrangements go. They want your opinion on if they should be playing softly or more loudly, or if they need to pick up the tempo, or if they're rushing too much. Understanding the intricacies and details of song arrangements and being able to communicate those details and make those corrections with your band are going to be essential for leading them musically. So always be working on your musical competence as a vocalist and instrumentalist. Make sure you're learning music theory that you can implement in your planning process, and don't forget that you have the role as a music director. Pillar number 3, the administrative pillar. I don't know anyone who has gone into worship ministry because they're excited about organizing all the digital assets and chord charts and even paper chord charts for their band, or scheduling and communicating with their team. All this administrative stuff is not the sexy part of worship ministry, but is totally necessary. Every worship leader needs to develop a simple and clear system for keeping things organized. And the good news is this isn't rocket science. And with a lot of our modern tools that we have with the internet and lots of cool apps and pieces of software, keeping things organized can be really, really easy and only require maybe a couple minutes of work each week. Planning Center Online is hands down the best web-based software for managing your worship team. I recommend it to worship leaders all the time because you can create all your chord charts there and store them. You can store your audio files for your band to rehearse with. You can obviously create worship plans so everybody knows what's going on during the service and who's doing what and what's happening when. And you can also schedule your team members for each week. Planning Center did not pay me to tell you this. I don't partner with them. I've just been using them for a long time now, almost 10 years, and it's never let me down, and they only continue to improve their software over time. No matter what tools you use, there's other pieces of software out there. You can devise your own unique system. Just make sure that you don't neglect the administrative pillar of worship ministry. Pillar number 4, the leadership pillar. It's quite obvious in the title, worship leader, that there's at least some type of leading going on. And I think it's great that it's in the title because it's a constant reminder that we are trying to lead other people. But we're also trying to lead ourselves. And my first tip is that you are to be leading yourself so that you're spiritually healthy, that you're healthy in all areas of your life, and that you can become a person that people look up to and actually want to follow. And then next, you gotta lead your band. Your band is looking to you to lead them musically and even spiritually in a lot of cases. And first, make sure that you get to know your band before you are concerned with anything else in your worship ministry. I've made this mistake before. before. As a new worship leader in a new context, we want to come in and change everything and make it better. We have the best ideas in the world. And even though they are the great ideas, if you don't build a relationship with your band members, if you don't gain their permission to make change, you're never going to be able to do it successfully. They're never going to respect you or want to listen to you or follow you because they don't know you. So get to know your team members, whether they're on your band or your tech team or any other volunteer position that you are responsible for. After you get to know them, then be more concerned about improving things and achieving excellence, and they're going to be way more excited about being on board with you. And then as you grow as a leader, make sure you start pouring into other people so they can become leaders, and that there can be multiple worship leaders at your church and not everything rests on you being there. Another group of people you lead is your congregation. That's probably the most obvious audience of people that you have responsible for leading during Sunday mornings. And some of these same principles apply. Your congregation wants to know you. So make sure you share a little bit about yourself. Just introduce yourself and tell them what your name is once in a while. Not everybody is going to even know that basic fact. And maybe you could share something about your story or testimony that can easily tie in and appropriately tie in to the worship service that day. Also, be intentional about being part of your church community. Set up some meetings or have people over to your house. You want to establish some basic relationships with people in your church because, again, I know a lot of you out there probably want to implement some changes, but in order to lead your congregation through change, they have to know you. And when it comes to leading them in worship, pay attention to your stage presence. Are you inspiring them to want to also engage in worship? Smile at them. Make eye contact with them. Get your eyes off of the music stand. Get rid of the music stand. Get your eyes off of the confidence monitor in the back of the room. And hey, I'm preaching to myself right here. Look at your congregation and engage with them. The worship experience is supposed to be a corporate, unifying experience. So try to break down those barriers that isolate you from the congregation during worship. Leadership, it is so key to worship ministry. And finally, pillar number 5, the technology pillar. Worship leaders in the 21st century must be taking advantage of and using the tools that we have at our disposal to create more engaging worship gatherings. There's an unfortunate assumption in the church world, it's popular in some church circles, that using technology in worship is ungodly or idolatrous. Anything can become an idol. Anything can become idolatrous, including the stubborn opinion that worship needs to be anti-technology. I would like to propose that using technology to take the raw materials God has given us and create something better of them for His glory is actually very biblical. It comes from the creation mandate in Genesis 1 and 2. Churches have been doing this for centuries with its elaborate architecture, stained glass, or organs, and all those appeal to the senses and they inspire awe and wonder. They make us want to look up towards heaven and give God the praise He's worthy of. And today, churches use tools like PA systems and lighting and video and, God forbid, haze to create compelling worship environments that help focus people's attention on the gospel and why they're there in the first place. Worship leaders, especially those in small churches who are in charge of both worship and production ministry, need to develop competency in the area of running a sound system, lighting system, projection software, some digital audio workstation, and all the other great tools that we can use for our ministries. And fortunately, anybody can learn these tools with the right training, even those of you who may consider yourselves non-techie. So do not be afraid about learning and implementing new technology in worship. Just give it a try. Be willing to make mistakes and fail here and there or be a little bit confused. But if you are persistent and you continue to search and you find the right help, you will be able to use these tools. So those are the 5 pillars. I hope that this gives you a clear roadmap for how you can grow yourself and grow your worship ministry. And I want you to ask yourself this question: which of these 5 pillars is strongest for you and which of these 5 pillars is the weakest for you? And if you want to be real authentic and transparent, let me know down below in the comments. I'll tell you, my weakest pillars of all these things were the pastoral and leadership pillars. And in a sense, they still still are today. I'm still being really intentional about working on these areas in my ministry because naturally I don't really like to spend time with people and invest in relationships. I'm an introvert. I like being by myself. I like geeking out over music and tech and even the administrative aspects of worship. But I've found that the more I've pushed myself to develop pastoral and leadership skills, it actually increases what I can do in those other areas of ministry that I'm even more excited about. So I just want to encourage you, embrace where you are weak and find help to develop out those areas. God's going to do some awesome things through you because of it. And if you are ready to take the next steps to grow yourself and grow your worship ministry, I want to invite you to check out worshipleaderschool.com, where you will find the essential training, advice, and support to plan and lead worship. You can go to worshipleaderschool.com or click the link below this video. Before you go, let me know below in the comments, because I love hearing from you guys, which area of your worship ministry, which pillar are you going to focus on strengthening so you can continue to grow yourself and grow your worship ministry. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, hit that thumbs up button, share it with your other friends in worship ministry. You can check out some videos right over here, and don't forget to subscribe to the Churchfront channel so you can continue to receive all of our latest content to help you grow yourself and grow your church.